Shalom. Call Haloyam La Yahweh Bahashum Yahushai Bahashum Racha Kodash. Rakatah Yahweh, Rakatah Yahushai, Rakatah Racha Kodash Bahashum Yahushai Bahashum Racha Kodash. Shalom and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elder bishops and the elders in the Akim and the Akwath of the hopeful elect. Shalom. Just want to go into a quick video entitled Trump Lies, Americans Cry, and Will Soon Be Fried. We did a little rhyming on it, but because that's what's going on, and it's prophecy and precepts, within that title as well. So, the most important thing is the prophecies, and that's what we must stay focused on, because we can't get choked out with the affairs of this civilization and this society. We do what we can in the society, but it's all about focusing on the prophecies and hiding ourselves, from the evil times to come. And we hide in a strong tower of Yahweh's name, in the name of Yahweh Shai. So we can just get that real quick. Start off with that. In Proverbs 18:10, the name of the Lord Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. And that's how we hide ourselves from the oncoming destruction. And the power is in the name of the Almighty Father, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. So Acts chapter 4 and verse 12. Neither is there salvation in any other. So people, they have all of these false doctrines and these false names and false titles, of the Heavenly Father's name and His only begotten Son. But the Most High's name is in Hebrew, and His only begotten Son name is in Hebrew. They have a abominable name, that starts with the letter J, right? JC, right? And that name didn't come about until 500 years ago. So we know that the Messiah walked on the earth 2,000 years ago. So what was his name, right? It was a Hebrew name, right? And when I believe, when the Messiah knocked Paul off the horse, right? He spoke to him in what? The Hebrew. So he spoke in his native tongue, the Hebrew language. He had a name in Hebrew, not Greek, not Roman, not Greek, not Latin, and surely and most certainly not English, right? So it says verse 12, neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. So that's and his name is Yahweh Shai, and it comes from derived out of also the name Joshua, and that was spiritual for Joshua. He took over from Moses, and he delivered, and he was the one to finish the journey and deliver us into the promised land. And so the name goes back into Joshua's name. So that's another lesson, though, for another day. Lord willing, I could get into that and bring that out. But so it's all about the prophecies, and the society is is in disarray right now, and it's continuing to circle the drain. So Revelations 19:10, and I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Show you that we're angels, because that's an angel that John the Revelator fell before, and he said, no, I'm thy fellow servant and of thy brothers, right? we're angels. We're fallen angels in these in the flesh, because we went off as men here and went to the daughters of men, into the daughters of heathen men, and that took away and that steered us away from the Heavenly Father. And that's why the Most High say, thou shalt have no gods before me. And then, that's what made Solomon go off. Same thing. Marrying all those heathen women made him, steered his spirit from the Most High. And he made all of those groves and altars, to those heathen women's false gods. So it's another topic as well. So continuing on. And of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh worship Yahweh in the name of Yahweh. For the testimony of Yahweh is the spirit of prophecy. So if you're not occupied in the prophecies, then you don't have the spirit of Yahweh. That's the spirit that Yahweh had. He was always speaking about, by doing this fulfills the prophecy of this, right? So he was always, like when he told the disciples to go and get the ass, right, the donkey, right, and he told them that, so that it'll be fulfilled that it was said, right, in Isaiah. So the foal of an ass. So the Messiah was all about fulfilling all of the prophecies, that he had to fulfill then himself, and then the upcoming end times prophecies, right, says repent for the kingdom is at hand, right. So that's why we need to be in that same spirit of prophecy, focusing on all the prophecies. And like in the thumbnail, I put the prophetic statue, the vision that the Most High gave, Most High Power Yahweh gave Daniel, the vision of the statue, and that's the timeline of Earth's history of the heathen rulership when Yahweh returns to destroy the heathen nations. That's why that even Esau knows that rock, that's the chief cornerstone. Yahushua is going to return, and what's he going to do? Destroy the heathen rulership upon the earth. And we know his time by the prophecies in Matthew chapter 24 and other chapters as well. Luke chapter 21 and many more, right? So stay in the spirit of prophecy. And by prophesying, and that's why Ezekiel 37, right? The valley of dry bones. The Most High said, "Will prophesy to the wind." So as you prophesy to the wind, it awakens the elect, and then it also, then the truth spreads out. That's why truth is becoming more and more popular. People are not about the truth of the Holy Scriptures, majority of people, right? But they're more about facts and about calling out the wickedness in Hollywood and these celebrities, and they're all about they're becoming increasingly more and more leaning towards a more clean, less demonic lifestyles. They're realizing the society is wicked and this country is wicked and the celebrities and all the leaders, right? And that's because the prophets are prophesying and truth is becoming popular again, beginning with the prophets teaching, right? And all of a sudden everybody want to be about truth when they were just happy living their life and slumbering. But now the elect is awakening and teaching, and then everyone want to be a disciple now. Everyone want to spread facts and truth on the internet now, but they're bugged out, because they don't come to the knowledge of the truth, ever learning but never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. So just it's flowing in the spirit right now. So Trump is lying because America, like I say a lot, America, the so-called white people, the Edomites, their greatest strength is unifying in hate. That's their strength, right? Hatred. That's how they got this country, and that's how they colonized the entire earth, just through their hate. And Trump knows this, and every so-called white man knows this. The white man and white woman, they unify in hate. But the Israelites, we unify in love of Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai, in the name of Yahweh Shai, right? By keeping the commandments of the Most High. So the so-called white race strength is unification and hatred, and ours is unification and love of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, keeping the commandments and loving our brothers as ourselves. So so Trump, he beguiled and lied and deceived the people and played off of the Americans, so-called Americans, the Edomites' hatred, right? By saying MAGA, make America great again, right? And saying how he was how he was going to restore the economy and increase jobs, and everyone was loving that building. And then, his first term when he was talking about building that wall and stuff, right? And they desperately wanted Trump back in office to restore the economy and everything, because he got his name off becoming a multimillionaire off, or maybe I think even billionaire off of what the Trump Towers and business and real estate, right? So they like have him back in office, and he's going to get back the economy because he's all about business. But he's destroying the economy with what? The tariffs, and it's impending. And it's been videos about in July is when we'll really see the effects of the tariffs, and things are going to come to a halt as far as transporting goods from importing goods from China, right? So I'm gonna do more research on that. But Lord willing, I can make a video about that. So those tariffs is coming down the pike, and we'll see what's going to come of it. See if it see what all comes from it. But so Salakia, excuse me. Yeah, so MAGA, Trump, all of these lies. He has the worst. Trump has the worst approval rating of the last 70 years. So he's pretty much has the worst approval rating in the history of the presidents of America. So at first he was really supported by all of these MAGA supporters, right? These Trump supporters and the Proud Boys, and then the truckers. They said over 90% of truckers supported. Over 90% of the truckers, 18-wheeler drivers, they voted for Trump in hopes that he was going to restore the economy and keep America moving with the freight going to and from throughout the country that comes in from overseas, right? But the truckers are getting laid off, the profession of the truckers is looking more and more grim, and so that's Trump lying, and he's destroying the economy with all of this prideful tariffs, and waging economic war with China. And this is all prophecy. Trump was never going to make America great, as we said. It's going to get worse. And it's not going to get better because they had their glory years, they call it the quote unquote good old days, right? Right before integration and everything. And before the drug hit the hippie era in the 60s and 70s, and everything continued to degenerate from then. And that's when the truth came came back into the earth. It's not a coincidence, right? But it'll never be great again. It's going to deteriorate until Yahushua returns. Jeremiah 51:9. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. See, Trump thinking that he's going to return and get back in office and heal Babylon, taking bombs, no bomb for her, to heal her up, right? The economy. We would have healed Babylon, America, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth into heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. And all the allies, those that's in the economic union with America, they thought that they could, in their think tanks and their, secret secret meetings, thinking that they can order things, but the elites behind the scene, the shadow government, are the ones that's steering everything, beginning with the little hats, over there, waging war, stealing land and everything, right? So they were thinking that they was going to heal Babylon, and that it was going to get healed. And a part of that is multi-layered like an onion, right? So Trump and his economic allies, the EU, European Union, they're growing increasingly upset with America and NATO, the beast that gave its power over to the whore for a season, and that's starting to turn. That the tide is turning from their alliance with the whore, and they're gonna burn her with fire with Russia and its allies, right? It's prophesied in Revelation. I believe it's Revelation. But anyway, okay, so reading on, going to Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, You see, that's Americans here throughout the country, and then the strong men, the military, and as the prophecy too, I think is in Jeremiah 49 or 50 or 51, or somewhere around there, I believe, where they will become, the mighty men shall become as women. They refuse to come out of their holes, right? So they're going to be afraid to fight. And Americans, they're trembling about the incoming judgments of the economy, and then the war with China and Russia and Iran, so forth and so on. The BRICS nations, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, I think South Africa, but they have a lot of other allies. That Gomer and Tagorma, right? Russia, the chief prince of Meshach, Ezekiel 38. And the grinders, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. So the grinders that's going into working the economy is going to cease. Verse 4, and that's what's happening right now. And the doors shall be shut in the streets. So what's in the streets? The buildings, the different businesses, people work, right? The doors are going to be shut. The retail apocalypse been going on for over a decade. Places like Payless and everything have went belly up, right? And you probably see that in your city all over. Companies steady saying, going out of business forever. And that's what you call it. Like these furniture stores and so forth and so on. You see that all over. Let's see. And verse 4, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. He shall rise, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. So we know the daughters of music and this society, the greatest era for music was what, the 60s, the 70s, the soul music, right? And that was the best time. That was the best, most creative music. And Michael Jackson era, all of that time frame there. But now with the rap crap and all this other music, heavy metal, all that music is daughters of music being brought low, because music used to be decent, good, it used to be higher quality music. But now the music is a representation of a reflection of society, how trash it is. Everything is being brought low. And we'll get that in NLT. Because people getting laid off, companies laying off employees left and right, like Amazon and all these big main corporations, box corporations, right? Laying off at record numbers. This country shutting down economically. NLT right here for verse 4. Remember him before the door to life's opportunities is closed and the sound of work fades. See, because the work is fading. It's darkening, right? That's what darkening means. Things are dying out. Now you rise at the first chirping of the birds, but then all their sounds will grow faint. So that's going to, daughters of music being brought low. Music is trash and work is slowing down. It's fading to black. Retail apocalypse, these companies fading to black, meaning going out of business, right? Slacky. Book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 41 and 5. The children of sinners are abominable children. That's Americans today, because their forefathers, when you just look at the Mount Rushmore with George Washington, Andrew Jackson, Abraham Lincoln, and John Adams, I think. Those 4 presidents up there on that mountain, and that's how that was their greatest presidents, establishing this evil, bloody country, right? And they're the children of them. They're sinners, and they're children of sinners. And there's a movie called Sinners that came out. Haven't seen a movie in a long time, but I need to go. I want to check that out. But it says, the children of sinners are abominable children, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly. So they that also are dwelling in the dwelling of the, that are conversing, meaning having conversations and communicating with them, right? And they're the ungodly. Those that are, like the scripture say, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished. So the wicked, and then those that are with the wicked, they're being an abomination as well by joining hand in hand and free flowing with them, and communing and supping with them in their false doctrines. So it says verse 6, the inheritance of sinners' children shall perish. So what's the inheritance of Americans? Is from their sinful ancestors, and they've inherited lies and blood filled in a blood filled country and stolen people, right? And their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach. And that's and posterity goes into the seed, the bloodlines of the men of Edom, their children, their bloodline is going to have a never-ending reproach. Verse 7, the children will complain of an ungodly father, and Americans are crying right now. There's videos all over the internet, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. They're making videos exposing and speaking the truth about the wickedness of this place and how the government is using them, stealing all their money, taxing them to hell, taxing the people to hell, and they're complaining about it, right? That's why Trump lies and Americans cry. And Americans are crying about the current presidential administration, and their forefathers, right? Because they shall be reproached for his sake. So we're rebuking them in the name of Yahweh Shai for their sins, right? Through the power and spirit of Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai, and then they cry about it and say, we didn't do that. That was in the past. That was our forefathers. I didn't have any slaves, but you are enjoying the land that your sinful ancestors laid the foundation for you to enjoy today, right? Well, they're not enjoying it so much these days, though, right? And so we'll go to Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 21. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. So they complain about an ungodly father, but they inherited the sins and the crimes and the stolen goods, the stolen people and goods, the land, right? So they're in possession of sinful deeds. So prepare slaughter for the children, and the children are the Americans today, for the iniquity of their fathers, for the sin of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. See, that's aka colonizing the whole earth with the American colonies, right? Because America was not first, before it became known as the United States of America. It was known as the 13 colonies. They filled America with cities, colonized America, and then colonizing all throughout with their military bases in every country. Having that show of force, that visible threat of if anything happens with the government of that country, they'll just pull out one of they bomber fighter jets and scare them, right? And even drop bombs, making that fire come down from heaven, like they did the Japanese, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the atomic bomb drop. Verse 23. I will also make it a possession for the bittern and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, said the Lord Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai of hosts. So that besom of destruction, that's the broom. And what you do with a broom, you sweep. And then it creates a wind, right? And that wind sweeps over the area that you're sweeping, right? And the NLT, I will make Babylon a desolate place of owls. So that's America. Filled with swamps and marshes. See, because ancient Babylon isn't like this. Because Babylon today, ancient Babylon today, the landmass is occupied by Iraq. I will make Babylon a desolate place of ours. So this is a future prophecy for modern Babylon, and that's America, filled with swamps and marshes. I will sweep the land with the broom of destruction. And that's the thermonuclear missiles. I, the Lord Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai of heaven's armies, have spoken. So, Trump lies, Americans cry, and will soon be fried with those thermonuclear missiles. So, just wanted to touch on that in the spirit real quick, nothing too long, but I hope this video is edifying. The water to the Hakodash Bashem, Yahweh Shai for another video. Until next video, I say, Shalom.